Video. My name is Julian Koma from Market Update Premium. We trade growth and momentum stocks, and today I want to show you three high potential semiconductor stocks that we are watching closely in the community. Let's start with Nvidia. I mean, everybody of you probably knows Nvidia. It's a data center and AI leader, and the stock had an outstanding performance over the last couple of years, and at the moment, it looks a little bit like Nvidia will produce a top here in the stock charts, but I think it could be a consolidation. We will come to that in a minute when we look into the daily chart. But let's look at the fundamentals first. It's very important for me to not only look at the technicals, but also look at the fundamentals and look at the story behind a stock. Because, you know, with this 360-degree approach, I'm able to find a lot of high potential stocks and potential winners. And when we look at the fundamentals, I always look at the estimates for the next 2 years. So we can see big estimates for Nvidia. I look at the last couple of quarters when it comes to EPS and sales growth, and you can see huge EPS growth. I would like to see at least 35 to 50. In that case, we have an EPS growth of 103% in the last quarter, and we have 94% of sales growth. I would like to see something like 20%. So the company is still growing very fast, and it got very good ratings also from IBD. So the EPS rating is 99. That means Nvidia belongs to the top 1% of all stocks when it comes to earnings per share. And the composite rating is 98, so it belongs to the top 2% of all stocks tracked by IBD. EPS growth rate is very good, return equity is extreme high, cash flow is very good, and the number of funds grew in the last couple of quarters. So it fulfills a lot of typical Kanslem criteria, but it fulfills also a lot of my criteria. The only thing what does not look good at the moment for Nvidia is the accumulation distribution rating and the up and down volume ratio. So you can see that the up and down volume ratio is below 1, and that means there is not much accumulation going on. It's rather distribution. And the accumulation distribution rating of D-, which is a very bad rating, confirms that. In addition, you can see a lower volume in the last couple of months. So there is not much accumulation anymore from institutions going on, and that's why the stock entered here into a longer consolidation. But that does not mean that the move or the trend is over in Nvidia. So what you can see here in the last big uptrend for Nvidia in the last bull market is that Nvidia produced some exhaustion rallies or climax top rallies, and this is what I'm missing right now. So you know, when one of the top leaders in a bull market like Nvidia, when this stock does not show any climatic or climax top price action, so that means, you know, that really the last buyers enter the stock, then usually the bull market is not over. And that can happen with Nvidia too. So let's go down into the daily chart. Let's look here at the price action of the last couple of weeks. So you can see here a first large consolidation, and the stock tried to break out here and failed. So this is exactly the reason why there is not much accumulation going on anymore. There are no institutions pushing the price higher, and that's the reason why the stock entered a next consolidation here. And what looked like a little bit like a head and shoulders pattern here in the daily chart could also be like a wedge pattern. I'm always saying that to my video course students. Patterns morph, and this is very important. What looks like a head and shoulders today could look like a consolidation or a wedge pattern tomorrow. And this is why I'm starting now to observe Nvidia, because I think this head and shoulders pattern could be wrong, and Nvidia could move higher from here. And what I would like to see from the stock now is a breakout here above the 140 level, or maybe a little bit higher on good volume, on above average volume, so that I have the confirmation that the institutions are still interested in the stock and adding to their positions. So, you know, the story from Nvidia is still highly attractive. I mean, they are the leaders when it comes to semiconductors, GPUs, for artificial intelligence. But never forget, when you have a leader in the stock market, it attracts usually other companies to produce similar products. And I already said that to my members. Sooner or later, we will see that new companies will enter the market of semiconductors for artificial intelligence and will produce new chips that are better than Nvidia chips. And you know, we are seeing that already. These companies are not public yet, but there are new competitors coming to the market. They are funded by venture capital and private equity companies, and they are producing new chips, new AI chips that that have more or a better performance and need less power. You know, power consumption in AI and data centers is one of the hot topics, I think, also for 2025. So, and you know, the stock exchange and the investors, they are anticipating that already, and that could be also one of the reasons why Nvidia started to consolidate. Nevertheless, a leader can move higher. Leaders lead, and that's why I'm observing Nvidia here. So if this one breaks out here on the upside, it could be an interesting buy for maybe one of the last up moves from Nvidia. I don't know, maybe it will go to 200 here in 2025. All right, another semiconductor stock that we are watching closely is Taiwan Semiconductor. I personally think the setup looks better than the Nvidia setup at the moment. It also has great estimates here, great ratings from IBD. You can see that here. Good growth rate, good return on equity, good cash flow. The up and down volume ratio is higher than Nvidia, and the accumulation distribution rating is higher. So there is more accumulation going on. Number of funds rose in the last couple of quarters. And you can see a turnaround in the numbers and acceleration in EPS and in sales. So this is a company producing 90% of all semiconductor chips in the world. They are producing all the semiconductors for Apple, for Nvidia, and for other companies. And you know, the most interesting story at the moment behind TSM, and I already shared that with my members, is that they are building factories in the US, and sooner or later they will become a made in the US company when it comes to semiconductors. So the US tries to get more independent from Taiwan, and that's one of the reasons they are building huge factories for chips in the US. And Apple is one of the customers, and they will produce their new AI chips in the US together with TSM or Taiwan Semiconductor. So super interesting story, great fundamentals, and you can see that the stock went sideways here in the last couple of weeks. You can see that's a cup and handle pattern. And let's zoom into the daily chart and look at the pattern. So here you can see a very clear breakout line, and this is always what we are looking for. You know, we want clear chart patterns, because clear chart patterns always means that the accumulation activity is right in the stock. You know, if you have wild and volatile chart patterns, that usually means uncertainty. I always say that to my members, you know, volatility means uncertainty, and you don't want to be inside that. So this is why we are waiting very patiently for the right moment to buy. Buying right is one of our most valued principles. You know, buying right means high probabilities of a successful trade and low risk. That's important. So if this one here goes above the 200 and above this high point here, then we will enter a position. And hopefully that will happen on good volume, so that we have the confirmation that institutions are on it. This is potentially not the most fast moving stock. Keep that in your mind. So it can move another 20, 30, 40%, something like that, and then maybe build a new consolidation. So, but the setup here looks very, very good to me. So last company I want to look with you at is Broadcom. We have another couple of high potential stocks from the semiconductor, data center, and AI world on our watch list, but I wanted to highlight these three mega cap companies to you, because they are also more easy to trade, and they are, you know, they have a very high liquidity, a very high institutional awareness at the moment. So Broadcom is one of them, and you know, the story of Broadcom is something I like very, very much, because they are turning around at the moment from a semiconductor company to a data center company. They did some very good acquisitions in the past. One of them is VMware, so where they are now going into the direction of data center software too. But they also bought Symantec, which is a company for cybersecurity. So they are really becoming a data center leader. And you can see this explosive price action here in the last couple of weeks. The only thing what I personally don't like is there seems to be a resistance line here, which limits the potential of Broadcom. We have to watch that closely if the stock is able to break out above that. But this is usually a sign of exhaustion. Be careful with that. So if the stock tries to break out and accelerate from here, I would like to see some more consolidation here. But you can see similar pattern, great estimates here, you know, acceleration in EPS, you can see acceleration in sales in the last quarters, good growth in the number of funds, the ratings are outstanding, you know. All the three stocks are on my top stocks list I share with my members, you know, with the stocks with the best fundamentals, best technicals, and super exciting stories. EPS growth could be a little bit higher, but it's okay. Return on equity is huge. Cash flow is great. So from the fundamentals and from the story side, this is a very, very interesting stock. By the way, they are also deep in data center connectivity, which is another theme that we are watching closely. Let's go down into the daily chart. So here you can see this gap up. You know, some of my members bought into that. We were watching the stock closely on that day, but you know, I was not buying into that because I was already invested in other stocks and I wanted to wait for a pullback. The pullback is now going on. It could, you know, it could go on for another couple of days, probably 1 or 2 weeks, and then hopefully we will see a breakout, and that could be a viable situation. But be aware of this rising resistance line, so that could limit the potential, you know. And such a gap up don't scares me. This is very important, you know. Gap up is always a sign of huge demand and huge accumulation from institutions. This is a confirmation for me that institutions want to own the stock. So, and that's why I don't throw it from my watch list. No, I really start to watch it more closely for a potential entry point. So Broadcom is very interesting, but again, could be a little bit exhausted. We have to watch it for a sound consolidation. And another thing I wanted to mention, this could also be an earnings mover. So this is one of the concepts I introduced also to my video course students and members. You know, these are stocks that only move on earnings. You can see that here, for example. You can see that here, and after that they enter a consolidation, and it's very hard to make money with these stocks. Nevertheless, we already traded Broadcom in the past successfully. So these were 3 super high potential semiconductor stocks. Of course, you know, always trade them with your strategy and select the right buy point which matches your criteria. That's very important. I always highlight trading ideas every day to my members, and you know, I try to teach them what could be the right entry point to enter these stocks. So if you are interested, you can try out my member service 14 days for free anytime, or you can learn more with my video course. If you want to follow me, you can do that on Twitter, on YouTube, and you can also subscribe to my free newsletter or enter my new free video course. You will find everything in the comments of this video.